Ah, all right. We've got another 15 minutes queued up here. So I remembered now that the thought which kind of escaped me there was stances in Aikido, and I don't mean actual physical stances, but uh, form stances. In Aikido, uh, there are three possible reactions to an attack. The first one is you could simply take the attack without any defense at all, such as what I did here. Let it happen. Um, the second is to block the attack. To let it hit you is going to hurt the most. To block it is going to hurt you somewhat. To divert it is the mastery of Aikido. Um, Certainly, I wasn't looking to get into a street fight, and this is just a figurative speak on that. But the idea of diverting an attack in Aikido is most key here. And it is to, um, for example, if someone was running at an Aikido master and attempted to tackle, strike, or whatever, hurt this Aikido master, most likely, what they're going to do is, as the energy line comes at the person, to sidestep it and to divert the person by pulling them through so that they keep going that fucking way, whilst uh, the person defending themselves remains unharmed. And of course, with exceptional skill, an Aikido master would divert such an attack that even the aggressor would not be harmed. And then pretty much be like, would you please not do that again? And that's really, I was saying there's three things, that's the three. I was trying to remember. That's really how you do it. This whole counter psychological operations thing is you realize, like, for one thing, if you believed every threat there was, you'd be constantly shitting, your pants like an ice cube all day. Um, so we all know they're not going to do everything immediately. Otherwise, we'd all be fucked right now. Or, I might as well say, why don't they just fucking zap me this second? Or, there should be some hitman or whatever the fuck, or the cops themselves should, someone should call the cops right now and say, well, Walter's, smashing shit around and threatening people, and he's got to go to prison, or he's got to go to the local mental health fucking quote unquote mental health facility where they experiment on people out there or something. None of it's happening. So already I can discount that much, threats which are actually bluffs, bluff threats. Uh, so in this case, I've successfully diverted quite a lot of that. I simply sidestepped and let their energy keep going that way. Now, me, I know that costs them money to do it. This is well, there's an ongoing thing. There's a hum in the wall. My coffee maker is, click, click, click. Every now and then it'll be a voice. As soon as the fridge turns on, it'll start talking. And that's things in the environment, not in my cochlea. With how you say it, cochlea, the part of the vein, part of the brain where they can do the V2K is different than if they project uh, uh, a resonance into the environment of sonic value. So, um, uh, or maybe the way that the hired fucking goons down there who are only awake enough in the day to try to do it, would constantly try to put me under some weird ass linguistic bullshit involving phonics in the alphabet, or the entire neighborhood which I thwart, um, because the more you realize that you've gained power over them and power over their fear, power over their anger, and power to notate mentally the number of times that they have bluffed. The more they have to go back to their camp and simply pitch their shit from their little base or whatever, wherever it may be, whatever. So that's one thing, is certainly the art of diverting an attack. And they are mental attacks meant to cause you to feel not good enough, cause you to feel harmed, and most certainly the holy grail of their entire experience themselves, which is worthy of pity, really, is that, to them nothing is sacred. Like, I have a daughter who didn't live past 9 days, and guess what they're going to say about her? Let's not bother, Fuck, they'd mail me a snuff film if they could. So might as well call all of that no object. But the thing is that slowly we're tallying points. Like, okay, let's see. Because they're definitely strategic and tactical. And they definitely depend on public opinion to do what they're going to do. So they wish. Mm-hmm. So, for example, Trump with his evangelical trip. And yet he tweets white power. The thing being is that I'm not even Christian, and that's okay to be. I'm sure many would agree here so far. This man, Jesus of Nazareth, was a dark-skinned Jew, as I said. Now, already, I have Trump nailed to the fucking, to his premise immediately. And any public consensus which might further this agenda. See? So, the more we can disarm them of these talking points, things that keep them going. Because you may have noticed the smallest little victory in your life, like even just littlest thing, like you got them to concede that I don't know, fruit juice is good and bullets are bad or something. Well, then you've already got them by that. In other words, they had to take a step back from that, which means your morale increased automatically, meaning their morale went down. It can help you to have compassion for them. I have openly wept for my opponents, for what they go through, why they have to do it, and what they're trapped in. And it will heal you to do so. It will really help. The more you become more like love and more like a pure form of it, whilst casting a contrast into them. Not necessarily them as humans, individuals, but as the organization for which they feel they had to sell out to as a way to belong. Perhaps they inherited it, whatever. But one thing's for sure. You were born, and you had a mother and a father. And to even cut a whole lot out of this, you were born, and hopefully, most of us, this is the case, the first thing that happened was you were at your mother's breast. This was not a thing that was written down. There was no Bible. There was no propaganda. There was no requirements. You did not sign a contract. You did not say, I want to live by this society's rules. You were not on the side of any team. You didn't have a talking point, an agenda. You didn't have to be good enough. You didn't have to get paid. You didn't have to avoid scumbags. whatever the fuck. That was it. And if you can return just for one moment, whether or not you call it a oh goodness. Sometimes I feel bad for people who are very much, by the letter of a particular religion, because they would be like, well, you can't just say that, but it's true. Um, for all I know, maybe your first memory was them saying, "Glory, praise, hallelujah, Jesus for your life." Fine, be that as it may, and if that is your way of life, may it be. Which again comes down to the point that they wouldn't care if you were a shaman in the jungle. The indigenous people who they did the flyover with the fucking murder planes or some shit right today at Trump's rally. They wouldn't care if you were the Dalai Lama. They wouldn't care if you were any equally good being as to any being, my personal belief. A bug, Jesus of Nazareth, that star seed, speck of dust on my coat. Excuse me. There was Morgellons gnawing into my nostril, and I don't give a fuck. So, I mean, battery power 15%. Do I look upset to you? Do I look scared to you? Does it look like it's working on me? And isn't that the big question? All right. So, I have thusly, excuse me, I've described my, that was a linguistic mistake, but it wasn't on purpose. I don't mess up on purpose. That's how I do it. For example, I go out on my porch and I play some George Carlin on the fucking rail. And every time it goes to say, and it was the other night, that we stole the land from the indigenous and Mexicans, some person had to rail on their fucking gas so hard. And I mean, I rewind it. And every time a car goes by, I would just pause it and sit there with my arms folded behind my back, looking straight forward. This is real good. Just stay meditating all day. If you can learn to meditate once and understand that, anyway, I stood there and blinked, looking out at whatever while they went and had their tantrum, press play again. And eventually it got through, and my neighbors had to hear it, and some dick fuck with a microphone, maybe attached it to mind control with this guy revving on his gas for all I know, whatever, had to hear it, and that matters. Believe it or not, it gets in their heart, gets in their mind, gets in their soul and spirit. It's such a way to do it. I mean, I just segued away from another thought. People be like, could you finish the sentence back there? I mean, frankly, sometimes you let go of that too. But it's good to try to, remember the stuff that really important counts to you. The thing that makes you you. And so that's what, they wish didn't happen. I mean, like, to me, this weird ass, Aryan bullshit to me is they're just like, a dance? No, I will not have it, spit or something. I mean, there's a scale in music called Phrygian dominant. And thus far, for all of history, just about what we can equate it to is Arabian sounding music and Spanish guitar. So just in order to try to rewrite all of that, and I'll play guitar on the porch and they'll be like, well, I guess he's pretty good or something. And there's gang stalkers that way. There's some people. What do? Fuck with their dog and yell at it. And so what happens is I eventually get to yell across the fucking way to them, shit about like you had a childhood that's fucked up. It's not their fault. And what are you hitting the dog? What's happening over there? I hear a dog go, with his voice. All of a sudden, that's a moral victory, and they take another step back. And so, again, it's been just about time for me to stop this, but it's a mental battle. And so, with love, we persevere and be cutting like a surgeon and non regretful.